everybody, welcome to The Joy of Being You. My name is Michelle, and here I talk about all things esoteric, hermetic, occult, manifestation, and consciousness oriented. I refer to a big book called what's it called? Neville Goddard, The Complete Collection. You can check it out in my description. I have a link on it to Amazon, as well as other books through my affiliate link that have helped me significantly on me waking up to understand what manifestation is and how I use it today. Feel free to check out other things that I have to offer, greeting cards, stickers. I have sweatshirts and hoodies with mystic scripture on it that I designed, as well as a children's book, and that's really it. So if you find that my content helps you out, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate anybody who gives me their attention and really takes what I'm saying into consideration, because when we recognize that our thoughts create our reality, we take a lot of power back, a lot of responsibility back, and become disciples in our own way, which just means we discipline ourselves. Disciple is discipline, and that's all it really is. Scripture is complete allegory in my point of view. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into this book, Neville Goddard, The Complete Collection, and I want to talk about the story of Jesus with the Samaritan woman, where she was going to Jacob's well, and Jesus asks her to get a cup of water or a jug of water or whatever. And she's kind of baffled, saying like, why are you talking to me? And the reason why that is not because these people existed, but what these people represent. Water and mysticism represents the inner nature. It's purity, it's clarifying, or what's it called? Not clarifying, it's purifying what was tainted to now being renewed. That's why there's baptism. Baptism is a ritual. It actually doesn't do anything for you inherently other than get you wet. What it is people took these mystic teachings that were describing water, fire, and they do them physically, but they completely forget and disregard what they actually mean. So doing these traditions that are physical in nature, whether it's lighting a menorah or bowing down in front of a carpet because there's a black box somewhere in some country and that's your god, and then lighting a Christmas tree or whatever it is that you do, anything physical in nature to worship a god will inherently fall flat, because nothing physically in nature is what God is. You're in the physical plane so you can understand your dual nature, being mind and spirit. A god cannot witness its power by just being a god. It needs to have a physical incarnate of itself so it can have an opposite. And when you have an opposite of understanding, that means contrast. And when you have contrast, you have understanding. So if you have, I've said this multiple times, but if you have a temperature that's hot, surely you'll be able to tell me what hot is when you experience cold. However, if you're only experiencing cold, you will just have that to refer to, which is just one. It's nothingness. It's just your experience at that time. That's what God is. God is one. But in order to experience God, you need to have two, which is why there's man and woman, which is why there's spirit and flesh, which is why there's mind and soul. So I'm going to jump into the story further and elaborate on what these two characters mean in context to you. So Jesus represents the I am consciousness state. It is your potential to rise up and become like him, not because he existed, but because it's a parable for your potential. When you claim something, I am successful, I am successful, I am successful, eventually your subconscious will repeat that on autopilot, and you will only be presented with things that prove that you are successful. That's when you plant a seed and it finally blooms. It can take a year, it could take a day. It depends on how much you believe in it. There really isn't a period for manifestation to work and like having to wait for it, because having to wait for it implies that you don't feel like you already have it. And if manifestation is always finished, then you always have to behave as if you have it. So if you behave that you have it longer, then that means you will get the thing sooner, because you're behaving like that person for a longer duration of time, which becomes your new state. What state do you dwell in? And that will become your reality, essentially. It's as easy as that. So Jesus saying, I am that I am, which is what actually God said to Moses when he was asked, who are you? Just means your God power allows you to become whoever you want to be. Personality in Latin means mask. In English derived, I believe, from, is it French, German, and Latin? So when you see the origin of the English language, you see that there's a lot of hidden meanings behind the words. So if personality means mask, it means who do you want to behave as today? Do you want to behave as I am successful? Or do you want to behave as I am a loser? Do you want to behave as I am gorgeous? Or do you want to behave as I am not desired? It's your personality, it's your mask. You get to choose. And that's living in the state. That is what a state is. What are your thoughts? And if you keep telling yourself you're beautiful, people will inherently have to mirror back to you what you think about yourself. You will get compliments regardless of what you're wearing, what you're looking like. If you look fantastic, but you think you're hideous, nobody will get near you. You won't have any romantic potential. And that's what's tricky about the 3D, is we always think it's physical in nature and that's really it. But what creates the physical world is the imagination. And it's no coincidence. Here, wait, let me actually see if I can write this. I apologize that I have some writing on this board already, but I'm gonna tilt my screen here a little bit, okay? This is Atum. That is the Egyptian god of the sun, all right? Then we have Adam. That's from Adam and Eve. It's supposed to be a man that physically existed, but this is no different than this, okay? And then we have Atom. Atum is the sun god. Adam was the first man of God, and an atom is the first son of creation, because you need one atom to create more material objects. So when you also have the moon, the earth, and the sun, look at that. You have an atom. The moon is the negative charge, the earth is the neutral charge, the sun is the positive charge. This is all the same. We're saying the same thing differently, even though it has the same meaning. No one's right or wrong when it comes to religion. Everything means the same thing. But do you see how they do this? And they hide information from us, telling us that Buddha is different than Allah, is different than Jesus, is different than Abraham. All religion stems around the monitoring of the movement of the sun and the moon in the sky. Why are all religious holidays marked with solstices and change in moon phases? If we're worshiping the sun and the moon, no gods exist. The only gods are the sun and the moon. And when you see the sun and the moon is also a reflection of you, your unconscious being the moon, because it's the dark. You don't know what you think until you wake up to your conscious, which is the sun, which is enlightenment, and you see it for what it is when you become yin and yang, which is why it's light and dark, sun and moon. Same shit, different day. And look at what they do. They cause wars over who's right and who's wrong. We're all one. So, with that being said, going back to the Samaritan woman, or whatever, however you say it. In mystic scripture, what a Samaritan woman is, or man is, doesn't really matter, I guess, in this context, but basically it's someone who's confused about religious teachings. They have concepts of what different ideas are, but they can't piece them together. However, they're open to learning, much like a majority of humanity, right? We all have no idea what we're doing. We're all doing our best trying to figure out things for what they are. We're all Samaritans, right? And in this book, Neville Goddard, The Complete Collection, I'm on page 187 on the hardcover. And it says here, "Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, asketh drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans, whatever. being a Jew, if anyone knows Kanye and his like crazy episodes of like doing whatever it is he does, all his hijinks, is he had this interview, I think, once with Ben Shapiro. Now, take this with a grain of salt. I am no avid watcher of Hollywood. I really never had been. And don't really believe anything for 100% certain, other than that my awareness creates my reality. I'm very open to learning new things and changing my mind, so long as I am convinced, which is faith. Again, conviction means faith in Latin, which then will create that to be my reality. So if you tell me the sun is green and I think it's yellow and you have a good point, I'll hear you out. That's how I roll. I will believe what I think is true if I'm given enough information to see it true for myself. And that's why we have so many worlds colliding, or that where that terminology comes from, because there's 8 billion people with different perspectives, each living in their own world. So when worlds collide, it's not just a saying for the sake of saying, it's because your perspective creates your world. So when you think one thing and that's staunchly who you are, you will interact with other people who also staunchly believe in what they think is reality, and those are your worlds colliding. And either they will mesh, or they will break, or they will be neutral, but I believe that that's where that saying comes from. Regardless, going back to this verse, the woman of Samaria says, "You're a Jew. Why are you talking to me?" Right? And being a Jew has nothing to do with religion. The tribe of Judah, I believe, has 186,400 members. Let me check that really quick. Okay, so I have it here, and it says, all that were numbered in the camp of Judah were in 100,000 and fourscore thousand and 6,400 throughout their armies. These shall first set forth. So we have within the camp of Judah, there's 3 tribes. It's Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. I'm sure that there's meanings to those names, but it doesn't really matter. What I want to get at is when you take all of those numbers and add them together, it is also 186,400 people. And when you look at that, this camp, if I'm not mistaken, is all to the east. And when things are to the east, that means things are to the right side of your brain, because the east is correlated to the right, the left is correlated to the mind, to the ego, to the west. So in scripture, when people are going to the west, from what I've learned, what that means is that person is going back to using their autopilot thoughts, right? It's when you go back to your subconscious beliefs that you've had programmed for years. However, when you go to the east, when you go to the right, that is when you're using your intuition, your conscious awareness. You're actually diving into practicing believing in certain things you never believed before to then create them in your reality. So being on the east of things means that you are on the right side of the Father. That's also why that's a saying, because the right side of the Father is again correlated to your divinity, your intuition, the right side of the brain. So when you have this correlation, this woman is just like, why are you talking to me? Again, not because it has to be with being Jewish. Being a Jew and being Jewish are 2 different things. And that's what I want to go back to Kanye, when he was speaking, I believe, again to Ben Shapiro. And if I can get the video, I can try to pull it up here.
Not Jewish. Jewish means like that of a Jew. I'm saying I'm Jew. You're a Jew. Blood of Christ. That Orthodox Christian.
But he's basically saying to be a Jew and to be Jewish are 2 different things. And Ben Shapiro's like, well, what do you mean? And whatever he was saying, and didn't understand. Even though I believe both of them are controlled oppositions just to put on this world stage performance, because I believe Shakespeare had said it best, the world is nothing but a stage. And if you watch the news long enough, you'll hear them say the world stage, the world stage. And if you looked into central casting, you'll see that's where a lot of people get their roles. And am I crazy for saying all this stuff? I don't know. Oop, sorry. Bang that up. It's just a point of view. I'm not going to say it's right. I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm just going to say it for what it is and let you decide. So if we are to go along the lines of the world is but a stage, then we see everything as a controlled construct for one reason only. And that's so that they can control the way you think. And if you operate from a state of fear time and time and time again, and every day you wake up choosing fear, your body will shut down, go under stress, cause yourself autoimmune issues that you will not have any resolution for because you don't have symptoms to this undescribable disease. What your disease is that your mind is driving you insane and your body cannot handle the amount of cortisol pumping through your bloodstream. You do not have some arbitrary diagnosis. You need to stop consuming things that terrify you because that's done by design. If you were to find peace in the world that you can control, which is your home, whether it's within your body or your genuine home life, you will find a lot more restoration to your actual longevity? Yeah, your appreciation to live. You'll get that back. I had an autoimmune issue for 8 years. All the doctors were like, it's normal for your age. Hey doctor, I thought you had 7 years of degree to like figure out medical stuff and you're telling me, oh, it's fine that you're just fucking going kaput. Sorry. It's like, thanks doc. You were trained by the pharmaceutical company. You have no idea what my body's doing. And I don't mean to disrespect the medical field by any means. There's things that they can do that have saved me before where it came to different things. But I also want to point out the contradictions in them pushing pharmaceuticals as the main way for you to treat your issues. It's not. If you were a doctor, you wouldn't want to keep me as a constant subscriber to your office. You would cure me. But that would mean you would lose a profit, so you don't, because you don't know any better. Anytime someone pushes a pill on you or gives you a vaccine, they get kickbacks. It's incentive. Every industry is done by design to make a sale, right? Every industry is created broken, so they have to create solutions. I mean, look at cars nowadays. Cars used to break down, but you could fix them and they'd still be good. Now you have a car, you have it for 3 years and the electric goes haywire. Oh, now that's a $250 fee to have to come into our facility just to look at it. It's just like, dude, I just probably have to change some kind of circuit and that could cost me, I don't know, maybe $50 most if I knew what I was doing. But they want it to fail. Every system they want to fail so they can offer you a solution and provide you more. So you have to pay so much more as a consumer, not for the initial thing you even bought, but even more to keep that thing going, to be keeping it doing well. Like your car, you bought the car initially, but it keeps breaking down because the electric isn't built like machines used to be built. Machines used to be built to last, now they're built to break. That's besides the point. Sorry, I go off on tangents. What I want to get back at is this, where Jesus is being asked by this woman to drink water, right? So we went over the tribe of Judah, we went over the word Jew, and Jew, actually I don't think I went over that. What a Jew actually is a child of light or enlightenment. That's why the tribe of Judah is the favored one, and that's why Jesus comes from that tribe. Being Jewish has nothing to do with being a Jew. And they screwed that up and converted it into something that's inverted, into religion, because religion controls all of us. It makes us believe in something higher than ourselves. It makes us believe in law above human logic, which is a great way to manipulate somebody. If you threaten somebody with hell, sure, they'll be compliant. But if somebody had the capacity to pause and to think for themselves and say, why would a God that gave me free will allow me to go to hell if he gave me the free will to choose? He didn't tell me not to choose to do the bad thing. He gave me free will. So there isn't a hell. There's only choice. You only make choices here. And then you go back to unconditional love. Why would there be punishment? Do you think God's that dumb that he didn't have the foresight to see what trouble you can get into? Go ahead, do all the terrible things you want to do. You have a choice. I'm not encouraging it. I don't condone it, but it's an option. It's your choice. The only person that suffers is you. You're already in hell when you choose that. But you can be in heaven as well, and that comes with changing your thoughts. Changing your thoughts can quite literally heal you. I've done that to my body. I thought miserable things. I had autoimmune issues like I brought up before. They didn't get better for nearly a decade. Changed my thoughts because nothing else logical made sense for me to do to heal. Like I already did all the fasting, I did all the different diets, I did every possible thing I could possibly do to get better physically. It didn't work. So I had to change my thoughts. And that worked. And that was incredibly eye-opening to see the power of the mind. So if being a Jew just means being enlightened, this woman is very surprised because, again, being a Samaritan or Samaritan, whatever, is somebody who's confused about what spirituality really is. So she's like, Jews don't talk to me. Because what that is, it represents the most inner pure knowing you have, which is your I am state, is trying to interact with you in a state of confusion. Do you see that? Do you see that? When you're still, right, when you're quiet, when you're not overthinking, when you're not over confusing yourself, and then you get this quiet voice that says, try this, do this thing. Hey, you're really good at that. Why don't you say hi to that guy? Right? When you get that inner voice that's like, weird, I feel really called to do that thing. Why do I feel called to do that thing? That is the same thing as Jesus saying, hey, Samaritan woman, can I have some water? It's God trying to connect with you. It's your intuition. Have you ever got an intuitive call to do something and you're like, why do I think that? Where did that come from? That's no different than this scripture verse or this passage. The Samaritan woman is someone who doesn't understand consciousness quite yet, but is a believer of something. And because she goes and she gets the water and gives it to Jesus, Jesus says the below. If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Here, the way I see it is, if you knew how to talk and communicate to your most inner nature, your most inner knowing, your subconscious, and say, let's say this is your manifestation. I want to meet the love of my life, and I want them to be my partner, and I want them to be perfect. And they're going to have these qualities, and I'm not wavering for a dang second, because I so staunchly believe that that is possible, because I deserve to be happy. You would be drinking the water of everlasting life, because you chose to go within you and not choose to go to something three-dimensional in nature to try to make it happen. You didn't go on you didn't go on some dating site. You didn't burn out through your options, whether it came to like people suggesting other people to you or going to a matchmaker. Those things are okay to do intuitively, but when they're done through logic and desperation, nothing will work. When you go within yourself and say, I have that perfect partner, and you go to rest knowing it, meaning you don't think of anything else. You claim the day of the Sabbath, which just means leaving that thought alone, not changing it, making it your state. Remember earlier in this video, I said your state is basically what personality you choose to have. Are you in the love of your life's relationship vibe, or are you not? Which one are you claiming? And I guarantee if you go in between, you'll meet your karmic partners, because it's a mix of what you used to believe compared to what you're trying to get. And if you keep going back and forth, you're gonna get in the gray zone and keep meeting people that are a mix of both. They have toxic resemblance to what you used to think you deserve, but also good qualities based on what you think you want. You can also change their behavior to be better. But what I like to do is just get it right the first time, so there's no question in the authentic expression that they show up as. That's just me though. Something about this lady too in this story is she gets all excited and she's like, oh my God, I met the Messiah. And she leaves the water jug behind to like tell people in the town or her husband or something. Leaving that water jug behind is very important, because that's water, right? You think you need to drink from that water to have that sustenance. But when you have the water within yourself, you don't need the physical jug anymore. You don't need the physical things anymore to give you just another sip every day to keep you going. If you have the water springing within you, that means you're constantly in the driver's seat of creating what it is you want, because water is symbolic of spirit and the emotions. And when those are used in tandem, you can start manifesting things in your physical reality. In this passage here, it says, Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall still thirst, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Jesus never wanted the water from this lady. What it is allegory again. It's your spirit trying to connect with your mind saying, do you hear me? Do you hear what I'm trying to say to you? How I'm trying to guide you? How I'm trying to bless you with everlasting life? The thing you're meant to do while you're here, your connection to who you really are authentically. And the fact that the Samaritan woman understood what he was saying and was like, oh my God, I met the Messiah. The coming of the Messiah is no different than springtime. It's the coming of creation, it's rebirth. That's what the resurrection is. Jesus should have been born in the spring because that's what it is. It's the sun coming back. But instead, religion inverted it and made it weird and said it was the winter time because society and people in control have a very good way at distorting what the truth is. They make it all opposite. You know what's funny? They don't want you to look into esoteric things. They make the esoteric stuff look demonic and scary so you don't figure out the truth. Esoteric stuff is not demonic in nature. If you have ever looked at Baphomet, I have a video of Baphomet. And Baphomet's like, oh my God, it looks like a devil with hooves. And it's just like, no, it's not. All it is the 5 elements. And I said 5 for a reason. There's air, there's earth, there's water, there's fire, and the missing element, which is ether. And you want to know which one that correlates to in the hand? It's the middle finger. And you want to know why the middle finger is bad in like society? Because they don't want you knowing what ether is. They don't want you knowing what spirit is. So like, oh, this is bad to do. No, it's not. It's your wand. It's the furthest finger from your body. Have you ever seen a wizard use their wand? Come on now. They're playing with us. It's all inverted. It's all symbolism. But truly, at the end of the day, none of this stuff even matters. A symbol can mean something. Big whoop. Whatever you give your attention to is what makes that thing come to life in your world. That's all I want to say about people in control from my point of view. They make it look scary. They make it look terrifying. I don't know if you know this, but in scripture it says, do not be afraid over hundreds of times. And the reason why is because people that like control, which are the people controlling the world, want to scare you shitless. And if you give your attention to them and you're afraid of them, then that lets them control you. Because when a human being is scared and in fear, they're very predictable. It's like an animal in a cage. You're gonna know what the animal's gonna do. It'll either run away or attack you. I said this before. But if an animal doesn't react to you keeping it confined, you don't know what it's gonna do once you let it go. And the unknown of their behavior is a lot scarier than the known because they're unpredictable. And that's no different than a conscious person. We're all mammals, we're all animals. But you have a choice to be an animal or you have a choice to be conscious. And the fact that all of these disgusting people in control operate on such a low frequency and desire nothing but the material plane means that they're just operating by their 5 senses to be overstimulated. They're barbarians in nature. And if you're operating from that state of mind, you are so low. So if you understand anything I'm saying, you're up here. Do not be afraid of this bullshit. It's beneath you, truly it is. I'm not saying to, I don't know, feel a particular way about them, like in the sense of like disrespect them or whatever. Do whatever you want. But what I want to say is people who are scared of losing power will use fear as a tactic to hold on because they have nothing else going for them. So don't fall for that. Don't fall for what it is that they're doing. Keep peace in your life the best you can and make your life beautiful and show others how to make it beautiful too. And if we make a world that keeps becoming more beautiful, the evil, the fear, the hate, eventually it'll have to dissipate because more people are choosing to choose their thoughts rather than letting other people in power dictate what their thoughts are. And again, if your thoughts create your reality, you're then taking your power back to make yours beautiful. And if more and more people do that, this world will become more and more beautiful. So I think this is just about a scripture video. I feel like I went on way too long, but I think I said a lot of important things, decoding some concepts, and who's to say it's right or wrong? You know, it's just information, and it doesn't mean that it's the end all be all. It's just a way to get somebody out of the grip of religion, saying that, you know, there's something outside of you dictating your fate. There's something outside of you saying that this is your soul contract, when in reality, you dictate what you want to be while you're here. And that should give you a lot of joy. That should give you a lot of empowerment to know that you're not a victim of your circumstances so long as you choose to think differently. And when you choose to think differently, you can really create a beautiful life and start making things turn around for the better. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you appreciated this video. And if it helped you in any way, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Share with somebody you might think it can help. And also, if you want me to talk about something in particular, feel free to message me or leave me a comment. I would really love to accommodate for anybody's preferences or, I don't know, just thoughts in general. And I'll see what I can do and come up with. So thank you again for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.